from Abuja.
Hello, thank you for being a part of our show. We appreciate you. I'm Magnus Kpakol, and this is Magnus Kpakol GVA. As always, it's all about how we can raise the level of living. That's what it's all about. In view today, is microfinance really the answer for the economy? People and governments have fallen head over heels with microfinancing. But can new innovations destroy microfinancing? And that notwithstanding, is microfinancing really the magic bullet for a faster pace of economic growth among African countries? And so to help us evaluate all this, we have with us Mr. Kpakol, who has been Managing Director at Fortis Microfinance. Mr. Okoye has well over 20 years of experience in the Nigerian banking and finance industry. But before our discussion, in our hidden economics, we look for a double speed, not two-speed economy. Then continue with us as we feature a competitiveness review segment. This is where we meet Nigerian personalities and companies that are globally competitive and among the best in the world. Waki's Restaurant in Abuja is our pick of the week. Don't miss our review of Waki's Restaurant. Now, up next in our quick view, we identify leaders in economic speed. That's coming right up. So China has become the second largest economy in the world, and indeed the largest market on the globe when we use purchasing power parity to assess its gross domestic product, meaning the value in a given year of its final output. 40 years ago, nobody gave China any chance of leading the world in the size of its economy or to be globally competitive in technology, artificial intelligence, and construction. Now, all over the world, people are familiar with and may hardly do without such Chinese products like Huawei, Xiaomi, and ZTE. So what happened? A fast and consistent real GDP growth rate. That's what happened. In this connection, what has been the average rate of real GDP growth in China over the last 40 years? 3%, 5%, 7%, or 10%. Which of the following sub-Saharan African countries has grown the fastest in the past 38 years? Botswana, Ethiopia, Mozambique, and Uganda. Stay with us for our answers coming up shortly. Still in view, is microfinance the answer? But up next in our hidden economics, double speed, not two speed. And then stay with us for Waki's.
Everything a double. See, I get assurance, you get endurance. Anything for you, my account balance. See, I get this mission, transmission vision. And if you tell the police, oh, them go see confusion. If I don't marry you, now him be say I the grace. Tell your mother, tell your father, make we relate. Money go follow you, blessings stay on the way. Any man will put us on the one thunder.
Paul Okoye, in one of his Rude Boy productions, Double Double, featuring Final and Olamide. Paul Okoye of P Square is a Nigerian singer, producer, artist, and dancer. If I no marry you, na him be say I decrease. Everything now double. Girl, you go tell your mom, this dude is coming at you with speed, double speed, and never slowing down. Economists have a condition they describe as a two-speed economy. What do they mean by a two-speed economy? For the sake of simplicity for this show, a two-speed economy is observed when one sector of an economy or perhaps industry grows at a much slower or rapid pace than the other. Say we have the crude oil or mining sector and the non-oil sector as our two sectors of the economy. Now, if growth in one sector is considerably weak compared to the other, we are said to have a two-speed economy. So what we want for me is a double-speed economy. Well then, in that case, let the APC government tell the nation that they love the people. Let the people know you are coming for them. And if you don't take them to the next level, I be say you decrease. The people don't want any two-speed economy that takes them to the pit. Just get them to the next level with speed. Give them double. Our hidden economics.
Fire, chase them all away. Everything a double.
Fami more, rapid, give me love, no more bullshit, yo. If you go, baby, come on to your go. If you leave, baby, come on to your darrow. If you give me love, I don't go give another lie. If you give me kiss, I don't go give another rara. If you let me touch, I don't go touch another lie.
We are pleased to feature another wonderful organization in our innovative and exciting competitiveness review segment of our show. Our review is aimed to promote economic competitiveness in Nigeria and Africa by showcasing organizations and personalities that compare competitively with the best in America, Europe, and the rest of the developed world. To be globally competitive, an organization or personality will have standout competencies, innovative high-quality approaches in culture, style, sophistication, and global appeal. And then add efficiency and high productivity. All these converge to provide a good and memorable experience for customers, stakeholders, and associates. So this is the Great Waukes, the restaurant everyone is talking about. In what is needed to be globally competitive, Waukes is one of the best restaurants in the world in its class. It is the best Indian Nigerian restaurant in Abuja. It has all the attributes for fine dining, sophistication, and global appeal. When it is quiet, it is wonderful, clean, and elegant. Then the action starts and it becomes a top destination for expatriates and who is who in Nigeria. The many menu options, chicken, lamb, seafoods, and vegetarian meals prepared a la carte to ensure the freshness and consistency and standard that esteemed guests deserve. A traditional clay oven in prominent view affords guests a great delight. You see the freshness coming from the oven to the table, just like some of the best in Tokyo, New York, Paris, and London. The upstairs gallery is an exclusive preserve for the special moment together. The compound is a delight as it is unique, providing a setting and a feeling of being in the presence of nature. Every diner Nigerian or tourist must visit the Great Wakis. It is beautiful and international, globally competitive. Wakis. For more, go to www.magnuspakol.gva or visit Wakis Restaurant at Plot 171 Amino Kano Crescent, Wuse 2, Abuja. If you are doing some wonderful things and you want to be considered for our competitiveness review segment, we have our telephone number displayed on the screen. Before we start our discussion, here are our quick view answers. For literally 40 years, that is from 1979 to 2018, the Chinese economy averaged an economic growth rate of nearly 10%. Double-digit average real GDP growth over 40 years. Extraordinary. A compelling example that it can be done. Botswana has posted the fastest real GDP growth rate in sub-Saharan Africa in nearly 40 years at 6.2%, of course not including Equatorial Guinea. Over the same period, Nigeria's growth averaged 4.9%, ranking the nation at number 9 in sub-Saharan Africa. Note that Nigeria's economy roared at a very good average rate of 8.6% between the year 2000 and 2010. For comments, adverts, and sponsorship, please see our information displayed on the screen. Can microfinance speed economic growth in Nigeria or anywhere? Well, by itself, probably not. But it can help greatly. Today we have with us Kpakol Okoye, who has been Managing Director at Fortis, to help us discuss this matter. Mr. Okoye has well over 20 years of experience in the Nigerian banking and finance industry. Please join us in our discussion with Kpakol Okoye. Okay, MD, thank you very much for being in our studios once again.
Okay, Prof, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. It's always wonderful to have you. We want to talk about microfinance and the economy and economic growth, its ability to fight poverty and to speed economic growth. Well, since the days of Mohammed Yunus, when he even won the Nobel Peace Prize with his bank, with the Grameen Bank, microfinance has become so popular. People are falling head over heels, for it. Even government officials all over the world trying to have various aspects of it implemented in their countries. People like you are deep into it. So is microfinance what people say it is? Or what is microfinance? And where is this power to fight poverty and speed economic growth?
You yourself just said it, that there's been a kind of concentration in recent times on the theme microfinance. Yes. And it is not, the reason for this isn't far-fetched, because I think most of the world has come to realize that microfinance is a powerful tool for economic development that lifts the poor out of poverty, and then mainstreams them from the informal sector to the formal financial sector. So I think these are the theme that people are looking at, policymakers. And that's why microfinance today has become very, very popular. Of course, what it essentially means, you look at micro and you look at finance, micro small, which means this is the provision of financial services, or that I must emphasize, competitive provision. And when we go down the line, you find some of these words that we emphasize. Yes. If you remind me, I will tell you why they're very important. Okay. So microfinance is the competitive provision of financial services to economically active poor. Okay. And low-income households. Yeah. That's basically what it means. Okay. And If you want to know why it is microfinance is still what it is today, I will just start with one example.
Yes.
Unlike developed countries where poverty is generally a short-lived, a transitory phenomenon, long-term structured poverty is the norm in most of African countries, including Nigeria.
Yeah.
In fact, a recent study showed that in a country like the United States, the median time of poverty is about 4.5 months. But in Africa, in a country like Nigeria, the median time of poverty is 1 or more lifetimes. People are born into poverty.
I like that. Say that again. What does that mean to a lay person? What do you mean there's an average what?
The median time of poverty strikes, say in a country like the United States.
Yes.
It takes about 4.5 months
for an individual,
for somebody who is temporarily poor
okay,
to get out of that poverty.
Get out of it, okay.
But in Africa, it's 1 or more lifetimes.
Okay.
Because you're born into poverty, you live throughout poverty, you die in poverty.
Yeah.
And so you find that...
So microfinance has come.
That is it. So microfinance...
To do what?
What microfinance has come to do is that where there's no hope.
Okay.
You see, because where there's... Without hope, it fosters a kind of hopelessness and despair.
Yes.
Microfinance has come to build up the people's confidence.
Yes.
Now, when it rekindles hope, it builds up confidence, their self-confidence. What it means that is, these hopeless people, formerly hopeless people, now have opportunities to begin to engage in life-saving projects that will take them out of that despair for life and bring them into positions where hope now exists.
Okay, first of all, what I would like us to do, first of all, is if you can define microfinance. I know you said micro and then you said finance, but because you also use a word that I'm not sure I heard you use before, but you use competitive.
Competitive.
Are you saying this in reference to government innovation or whatever?
No,
Maybe you're not going there.
All.
But okay, so because when you say competitive, so you're like marketplace driven. Is that what you mean?
It's marketplace driven.
Yeah.
But in terms, is a comparative analysis of where microfinance is coming from.
Okay.
Because before modern microfinance, we've had microfinance as old as civilization itself.
Yeah.
You have money lenders, you have the revolving and credit associations and what have you. Money lenders and others tended to be monopolistic.
Okay.
The money lender in a village is the main guy.
Yeah.
So he puts up all kinds of conditions and whatever. But microfinance institutions were supposed to now be an improvement on those traditional characteristics. And so that's why you said competitive.
Okay.
So that it's not like they're going to be oligopolistic or monopolistic and everything. There'll still be competition, even though you are providing services to the poor in manners they prefer and in manners they want. And that is exactly what microfinance... These are people who are financially excluded.
Yeah.
They are locked out by the conventional banking system.
Yeah.
And so how do they get in? How do you open that door?
These poor people.
These poor people.
Yeah.
Poor people, again, I say economically active poor.
Poor.
Because we get to that, when we begin to look at microfinance, there are two main approaches today.
Okay.
You find the Yunus, you just talked about Mohammed Yunus from Bangladesh and his Grameen Bank. So that is on one side where they believe that the best way to help the poor is through what they call the poverty lending approach.
Okay.
And they use subsidized credit to give the poor people loans at affordable prices or highly subsidized prices.
Okay.
So that is the poverty lending approach. But then you have another group, mainly in Indonesia and Bolivia, who now say, no, commercial finance is it. Every microfinance bank, yes, you have a dual mission. There's a social mission when you're concentrating on taking the poverty, living the poor out of poverty. But more importantly, you have to cover all your costs, because that's the only way you can be sustainable over a time of period and continue to expand outreach and increase the probability or the possibility of reaching out to a larger number of poor people. If you are not financially sustainable, then you may not be able to do that, because subsidies, grants, and donor funds do not last forever. They're not sustainable.
Okay.
So they may be very important in the short term.
Yeah.
But if you are looking at the long-term horizon, then you want to go somewhere beyond just subsidized credit.
Commercial.
Yes.
Okay, MD. You are an expert in this. I mean, everybody knows you as an expert in this field. So I literally can ask you anything because I know you can answer any question in this regard. You've used a couple of terms, and I like to break things down as best as possible. You use monopolistic. You use oligopolistic. Now, when in the old days when I was near school, when I would hear monopolistic competition, my mind would tell me about people who are acting almost like monopolies, except that there are many of them, and they're in some sort of competition.
What?
When I would hear oligopolistic, I would think there are just a few of them that are controlling the market. In Nigeria, people like you guys, which one are you practicing? Are you practicing monopolistic competition in microfinance, or are you practicing oligopolistic competition, or is it a perfect competition setup? Access to credit remains quite limited in Africa, as only about 5% of adults are able to get a loan from a bank. Everybody knows that it is like pulling teeth to get a bank loan in Nigeria. One reason for this is that the government and big oil companies are literally crowding out the market. The banks are apparently giving out loans, but not to average small and medium enterprises. This lack of access to loans from commercial banks is a primary reason microfinance banks are needed, and especially for the masses at the bottom of the financial pyramid. As I have said many times and will continue to say, an unrighteous economy emerges when a significant proportion of the population are not participating meaningfully in the economy. And these mostly consist of adults that are unemployed or not even in the labor force. If access to capital is improved, the economy can become more brisk. In the past several years, in what can be called an Emefielian monetary policy, the Central Bank of Nigeria has literally saved the nation much grief as the fiscal sector lost much of its teeth and could no longer bite. As a result, high unemployment rates, low productivity, and poor overall economic morale have continued to constitute a menace. Even so, there is a danger the central bank can be drawn into deeper and unknown waters that typically should be in the province of the fiscal authorities. In addition, national necessities and ostensible nudging from the fiscal sector or other stakeholders could also cause the CBN to drive too fast and likely get into an unnecessary accident. So far, the CBN is doing good. Let it continue its prudence. Even so, as far as microfinance for a faster rate of economic growth is concerned, let us all keep talking to share constructive ideas. I'm Magnus Kpakol, and that's my view.